that her youth and looks had secured her the job, but she was also expected to create the kind of buzz in her field that generated publicity and profits, and here she was failing miserably. She could offer only a few museum sales, which meant low prices, one private collection of Sumerian artifacts, and another of what could well have been looted from Scythian grave mounds, which would spell trouble. "You are not living up to our hopes, Lydia," Justin had concluded, in that snooty way he had developed since she had declined his invitation to an intimate dinner. Justin, said the gossips in the ladies' room, was a predatory man. Lydia found him oily and distrusted his shirts, invariably blue checks or stripes with white collars and cuffs. She was now careful to ask after the health of his wife and children. It had been an unsettling meeting, leaving her with the distinct prospect of unemployment before the end of the year. Lydia walked across to her desk and absent-mindedly gave her usual pat to the head of the soapstone Egyptian cat that she had bought in Cairo, an evident but charming Fifth Dynasty fake, and told herself she had a right to feel miserable. Her career had stalled. Her window was speckled with a London drizzle, and the mean grey light belied the first hesitant buds of the daffodils she had seen in the park that morning. So, gloomily leafing through sale catalogues, and trying not to recall that her 30th birthday was only months away, Lydia thought about changing her career. Evening classes, perhaps another degree through the Open University. She might consider economics or law. She couldn't afford to go back to law school in the States, even if she had wanted to. She wasn't ready to go home, nor back to Mother, who was embarrassingly short of money since Lydia's father had died. And America had too many lawyers anyway. The law here was different. Lawyers made money and seemed always to be in demand, and David had been neither bored nor boring, and could even be quite amusing about his work as a patent lawyer. Firmly, she steered her mind away from that topic. Their relationship had been pleasant, but ultimately insufficient. David was history, but then her career was facing a similar fate. So when reception rang to say they had a walk-in, she felt just the slightest flutter of hope. For her colleagues in paintings and furniture and jewellery, walk-ins were almost drudgery, constant interruptions to look at some battered family heirloom proffered by someone with a glint of avarice in the eye. Lydia hardly ever had walk-ins, and the handful she had seen were obvious fakes, offloaded on some gullible British soldier or sailor on leave in Cairo or Baghdad. The staff on the reception desk could usually tell at a glance, but preferred to leave the official verdict to the experts like Lydia. She walked down the stairs to the front hall. A tall, fit-looking man in a tweedy country suit and heavy brogues was being shown into the waiting room. His age seemed to be somewhat less than 40, but he dressed as if he were closer to 60. The parcel he carried, carefully wrapped in brown paper and string, was obviously heavy but did not affect what Lydia suspected was a military stride. The tie was an anonymous heavy silk. His hair was short, his manner affable but brisk, and he smelled faintly of carbolic soap, a distinct improvement on Justin's musky cologne. He put the parcel on the table, gave her a smile with an amused twinkle in the eyes, held out his hand and said, "How do you do? My name is Manners. I have just inherited this from my father, and want to know if it's worth selling." Lydia knew the country well enough to recognize, from his speech and his dress, a member of England's comfortable classes, old money and older schools. She shook his hand, introduced herself, and opened a drawer in the table to offer him a knife or a pair of scissors, but he was carefully unknotting the string. "I think it was an heirloom from the war," he said. "India, the Middle East, that sort of place. That's where my father served, mainly. He was a regular soldier and retired to live quietly in Wiltshire for the past 30 years. This rock has been at home for as long as I can remember." Lydia felt her face muscles tighten as the brown paper was unwrapped and the wooden case emerged, 3 or 4 times thicker than the usual picture frame, to display something that shocked her. It was beautiful. There was no other word for it. Whenever and wherever this had been done, last week, in some forger's garret, or millennia ago, this assemblage of shape and colour and texture punched her.